Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, braving the rain and post-Christmas blues. And we're very lucky to have this panel because they know exactly what they're talking about all the time. And because Immersive is sort of a blend of physical as well as digital, like we have experts across the board. And so, first of all, I'm just going to kick off this conversation by saying, which is your out of all the campaigns you've seen, all or moderated, which is one campaign that has really stood out to each of you, and then I'll get into more specifics, of course. Sir.
Is this working? Yeah. I think sports has tremendous opportunities and largely unexplored as well for many reasons. But sports wins hands down when it comes to offering a holistic opportunity for the creator, for the audience to be immersively involved. And of course, there is tremendous opportunity for entertainment to be built in. So I think sports and entertainment largely, but sports I think is the blockbuster of it all.
No, so is there any specific campaign which really stood out to you?
Today or any time?
Like overall, which is one of your, which always stands out to you?
Two campaigns are very close to me. I mean, overall, one of course is I was the creator of Indian Cricket League, so that whole experience and how it would be, which was later on copied by, popularized rather by Indian Premier League today. So it is verbatim, word by word, what we had created that time. So that was one. Of course, then there was Zee Cine Awards and the way we took it global, a very small opportunity that happened in Bombay, and then it transcended all the borders.
Dhruv, if I can.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So I'm going to talk about two campaigns that's really stood out for me. One is a non-technology and one is a tech, because I have to do justice to why we are here, right? So one of the experiential campaigns that really stood out for us is that, so one of our clients, it's a very, very large bank. They came to us saying that we want to do something with the senior citizens. And, because that's a market that we want to target. I mean, everything you do in a bank is strategic, right? So, but it cannot be a run-of-the-mill idea. So we tried not to wear a typical event person's hat. And what we ended up doing was that we got into tie-ups with PVRs and Inoxes. And we created a retro feel. And we ended up showing them movies from yesteryears. So they saw movies of Rajesh Khanna and, those movies. And, I saw the event and why it's very close to me also, because during the interval, I remember, I saw, which is the target audience, I saw people crying. We had feedback wherein a couple said that, this was supposed to be a first movie together. But my husband is in the services, he was called away. So we're watching this after 40 years of our wedding, right? So it was an experiential campaign that got, so much for the brand. Strategically, actually, their FD business grew some 30x. It grew so much that they said that, we can't even give the exact numbers. That was an ROI in a per sense say, but also the ROI for me was the impact that the campaign created on the spot, right? The emotional connect they had with the brand. So I think that was one. And quickly, one of the things in sense of immersive and AR that really put AR on the map is when IKEA came up, with the campaign wherein, you could put your furniture in your house and you could see that from your phones, right? So I think that put AR on the map for a regular audience. So I think that for that impact, it stood out for me. So these are the two campaigns that I want to talk about.
So when it comes to bigger campaigns, I think they've always been super impressive. When it comes to usage of technology, drones, lasers, etc., and the various kind of softwares that are available. But I will narrow down to even the smaller niche events where we've used technology, and it's been very fascinating a small thing that we executed. When I say small, meaning it was like for a specific audience, where we use technology for the disabled. So we all use technology for bigger events, for more as an enhancement of our storytelling, but also to use it as a usable thing, and where the disabled, so I wouldn't say disabled, but I would say like differently abled people felt totally engaged and included in the event. And I think that for us was a huge success when it comes to something which created an impact. So I think that for me was like a bigger thing. Of course, the bigger the show, the better the impact. I mean, it just looks very glamorous for sure. And what we saw today, and what I know their campaigns, I'm familiar with that, and they look beautiful when you have loads of drones and you have... So we just executed Ayodhya just recently, and we've just come back. We used zero technology. But again, like, it is the impact that you can create with just your personal touch. So I love technology as long as it can enhance and create a better story for us. But typically, I think I'll be that one voice talking about technology. Over to Ruchin.
So I think I'll talk about largely, what has impressed, not about, what we as occasion experts have done. So there's one campaign, which we always talk about, and we also showcase this to a lot of our clients, which is for Invesco. Invesco launched one of the social media campaigns where, largely they involved a lot of audience based out of states and other countries, where they had virtual basketball net. And, the message was basically to pass on as if you invest in their ETFs, and doing those basketball nets, how you can grow your digital assets. So that was a super impressive campaign, which I would like to talk about. And you should, if anyone of you can get a chance, you should definitely look at that campaign. And one of the campaigns which really talks about the AI we can use in our businesses nowadays.
Thank you. You guys have a lot of events example. I'll be the better one because there's a lot of chance of going wrong in events, but we only collect the right parts and put it up on digital. So for us, experiential marketing on digital is flawless a little more. I think I was looking at another example, but since you gave IKEA as an example, I think they've done a fantastic job. They literally created life-size blueprint of their houses that they could actually experience when they were going to stores. I think that was really nice. In the real estate world, another thing that I really like about experiential marketing is how can you include personalization with technology, right? So this was for a real estate developer where we were doing the event for a show flat, right? And what was happening is before the family enters the flat, they were supposed to log in with their social credentials. Now, all of a sudden, all the pictures in the house were their family. So it made them look like the flat is of their own family, right? So that was something that actually helped us in terms of improving the conversion rate for them. And I think that's a great example from an experiential marketing perspective.
And, of course, because you guys have discussed different events, whether it's very small, intimate events or whether they're very large-scale events. And I'm just curious, which immersive technologies are being used right now and which do you see coming in? Because we had this whole thing about the metaverse, like in 2023, which sort of fizzled out. And I'm just curious, which technologies you see actually working for experiential events and what you see like sort of coming in into the future. So open floor, of course, everybody. Who would like to go first?
So I think there are always two parts to it, as you rightly mentioned. One is, of course, technology. That is one part of it. Then there are sub-parts to it, personalization, the optics of it. Unfortunately, in the Indian region, we are always behind in terms of either adaptability, understanding, and even knowing technology. By the time we get to use technology, it is already done to death, and that's been the experience so far. For example, the immersive technologies that we see today, one has been looking at them for almost a decade or so. The holographic technologies that you will see now coming to India, I remember the first experiment that I did with them was 2012. So we're far behind in our understanding. When something works somewhere and then we adapt it, I think that needs to change. That is one. Two, we still confuse, not confuse may be the wrong word, but what it should do. As a business leader, I think first and foremost, one must not lose a sight of any form of it, any form of experiential marketing. It either needs to set a new category or uplift an existing category. And most of the times we still do not do that. I see great events, great opportunities for the optics of it. People come, they enjoy, and they move on, and nobody remembers anything about that. So I think perhaps we, being still in the nascent stages, still need to understand that, which is why I think, even now when there are many people who come and they mention that, this is what they can do. There are companies and these that now say that they specialize in this, but I still feel that, they really do not understand the business of it all. Marketing as a function, unfortunately, the way we use it is only for optics of it, which is something that always will create a barrier. It doesn't help you do anything much beyond the optics of it. Like, this is a fantastic example that she gave about how technology, of course, does personalization, but it should do something. Because otherwise it will just be for the optics of it. People say, wow, acha laga, dekha, dil ko acha laga. And then it's just like Diwali, you have a bang with the crackers and then you move on and next day is another day. So that is something, one, we must accept that we don't know about technology and what technology can do. The future is very different. But we don't know. They aren't. I haven't seen that happening. I mean, sometimes perhaps maybe the odd person out, but there is so much that has happened in the world. Concerts, there are Beatles concerts and they're far gone. And I think the first concert that I saw with them was 2011, done by a company, 2011. And they'd say that, Ashish, this is still an old version technology that we're using, the future as something else. So acceptance that we don't know, to link it with the business goals, it must create a new category or it must uplift the existing ones and never lose a sight of it not purely becoming an optics. That's what I feel.
So, first to add to what Ashish was saying, that so I think slightly differently, and I think we've been fortunate to have a presence in Dubai, and that's made us realize that you're very, very right. Like 10 years back, the scenario was very different, and I'm purely talking experiential. That in the last 10 years, we've really caught up on the technology front. I don't see a huge gap between what's happening today around the world and it's happening here in India. It may be slight things, because you have more money in R&D in general in the West, in everything, and hence the R&D happens faster. There was a very interesting thing somebody said at a panel. I was at a BW event only, and he said, what happens is we go to clients and we say that, sir, ye technology naya hai. They're saying, how can we trust you? You will deliver. So then they come up and say, sir, but ye Dubai mein hua tha. Ye to purana ho gaya fir. So like, which side should we go, right? So besides that, so coming to what you asked, right? Like, what are the trends and what's going to happen? So see, technology, and Ashish rightly said, see, technology is a medium. It's not a message in itself. What happens is a lot of briefs we get, or as agencies also, sometimes you go, sir, do tech activity karte hain. Or sometimes it's a written brief, especially when you get exhibitions, okay? We want to do this, please add 3 tech activities. Why? So it's a message, very rightly said, that it's not the message, it's a medium to deliver your message. So what is technology? I mean, pehle visual aaya, fir video aaya, then we had touch screens, then we had VR, then we had AR. Okay, now if you talk about the future, I think MR is going to be something that's going to, and it's just an enhancement. Again, it's a medium. So I think using AI, adding AI to things that you're doing, like a chatbot has existed. If you add AI, and if you add it effectively, it's really going to make a difference to your events. They can actually answer questions rightly, and it saves you a lot of time. Adding AI to sustainability, we did an event in Dubai for one of our clients. They had 76 nationalities. We said food waste hoga. We put an AI technology to understand food preferences, and we moderated and we changed the menu as per that. So our food wastage reduced, right? So it's just you've used technology to enhance that, right? So that's how it is. But there are flip examples also. We're doing an event for a PSU client. They said technology डालो एक launch में. हमने कहा यहाँ पे नहीं लगेगा. We did a nukkad natak, and we had a standing ovation when that launch got over. You know, so it's a medium, not the message itself. But yes, there is so much more to see. We've just seen 1% potential of a lot of technology. It'll keep evolving, but it's a fascinating world.
So coming back to technology again, I do have to say that despite us saying that we don't use too much of it in our events, but we do. See, AI for one, I mean, we've used that immensely, especially when it comes to data collection, for ease of communication, for getting some research stuff, getting content. So it does help. There's no question about it. I feel usage of technology for us has been very, very beneficial, because when we are very clear on what is our vision and what is our goal out of that event, is it just lead generation? Is it audience engagement? Or is it like, what are we trying to achieve out of that? So we have always, I mean, at least as showcase events, we've used technology more as an enhancement of our storytelling. And the moment you do that, then your audience is automatically engaged. You become more immersive. So like, you know, we did an event which was literally produced in 10 days. We did it in Udaipur, which was again for an exclusive small crowd. We created a whole epic, historical epic. I'm not going to go into the details because then everybody knows about that event. So it was literally play of technology on that one LED screen. The budgets were limited, but just the 3D visual images of what we were going to produce on the stage. You know, when we sit back and see what we did in 10 days, it was fantastic, absolutely. It was immersive, the sound, the lights, and along with that, the screen visuals. You know, the 5 extremely high-profile guests who were sitting there, they were so absorbed, they did not blink. They didn't understand a word of Hindi, but they did not blink. They got up with tears in their eyes and they said, we can't believe what we have just witnessed. So I feel, you know, that's like, so that is the play of technology. Of course, we have to use it as per our thing. So like you said, you know, I think we have a lot of stuff in India. So we just recently did, some time back, we did a festival in Kasauli. So our forte is music festivals and destinations and curating experiences. So we did this music festival in Kasauli and we wanted to make it cashless. So now here's where technology failed us as well. So we used those cards. You have the digital cards or smart cards. So we said nobody should have the need to take out your money or the wallet for the next 2 days. And they failed us because of internet. So dependency on other sources. So I think, you know, a couple of these kind of things, if we can rectify that, in India, we have a lot of very good technology. We have a lot of good facilities available. And I just feel 2 factors. One is dependency, 2 is the cost. If we are able to monitor these 2, I think we can actually create way, way larger than life events than what we are already doing.
So I think, yes, I fairly agree with what all 3 of them has already spoken about, and fairly decent panel to have 2 lovely females as well within the panel. So coming back, I'll touch upon the different part which has not been spoken about. I think technology plays a lot of role in sustainability. Also as a vice president north of EEMA, I always promote sustainability. And technology plays a huge role. Before I say forward about how technology can reduce a lot of carbon footprints, I have a video to showcase to everyone, and I'll tell you why I'm showcasing this video. If console can play the video, please, and then I'll talk about it. Video ready?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So basically, this is world's biggest international solar festival, which happened first time in India in Bharat Mandapam, which Bharat Mandapam is the biggest festival they might have ever witnessed also. So, the reason for showing you this video is this was a great mix of technology and the physical setup. And this event, the large scale events, usually people say that large scale events can't be sustainable. And we have got certified by United Nations for a carbon neutral free event because, we did a lot of measures in a way, food waste management and cashless cards and, the non-flexes and the water that we used. And there's a lot more to it. In fact, the gensets that were used and everything. So, this is one example where we used technology. We had cash, paperless registrations. A lot of efforts were made into that space, and there were no papers involved. Actually, in fact, the footprints we were capturing footprints from the time we started doing meetings 6 months back in the client offices and all of that. So as it is, it's a solar festival. So we wanted to involve all of this and calculate. Technology plays a lot of role when it comes to sustainability. For example, if you're going to an event, we don't need to have actual lanyards. Facial recognitions are new way of doing the registrations, or probably the automated way of doing capturing the data as well as जैसे इस room में कौन कितनी देर बैठा है, कितनी देर event attend किया है. So there's a lot of ways, which technology can help in. And other than this, I think going forward, we should also learn from the agencies and companies who are working abroad, specifically, US. We should get a lot of inspiration from them. Nowadays, how they're working is they don't have papers in their office, unlike our government offices and all of this. Everything is done through a tab and through one center cloud from where the data is being handled. And in fact, we are doing that transformation within our agency as well. And within January, we will have all of this where we take everything to the cloud and then we remove the papers. So technology, as Dhruv mentioned about MR coming in, there are a lot of futuristic ways. Nowadays we are suggesting an amorphic way of, revealing the logos, or there's a lot more to it. So it's a tool to enhance the experience. But yes, as Nanni also mentioned, when it comes to exclusive events, experience also plays a major role where you don't need technology. So it's always need-based, but one should adapt to it. Yeah.
Just adding about VR, it's very interesting when we talk about the international experiences. So when VR concerts started, I don't know how many of you are aware of the concept of VR concerts, especially during COVID, they started out. And it was fantastic because we in India had started doing it. There were a couple of studios that had started doing that. One was in Chandigarh, one was in Delhi, and one was in Bombay. And virtual platforms, we were doing full-blown concerts. And it was literally all on the VR device. Of course, it was limited because the number of good Oculus devices in India is limited, unfortunately, even today. But then you had cardboard and a couple of other facilities that had come in. But so VR concerts, of course, what about the ABBA concert that's just been created in UK? Such a huge, huge hit. It's total use of technology. So why can't we do that in India? And I don't think it's such a big deal. Honestly, it's just about applying ourselves and money.
And I think other than the events, we can also use the technology. There are a lot of AI apps I personally use for creating client presentations. We have Gamma, we have ChatGPT, extended versions. I use a lot ChatGPT to create a lot of videos. So अभी तक अगर आप लोग ChatGPT को सिर्फ एक platform समझ रहे हो, for converting your text or building content, there's a lot more to it. It really helps build you videos as well. And there are a lot of other tools like Gamma and all, which enhances the whole look and feel of presentations, what you present right now to the clients.
And if I can just add to that, Shradha, because you look at the digital component of things, and because events are a very physical thing, but how do you convert that into like a digital format? How do you sell that? How do you sell it? And if you could just
Sure. So we've been very nice kids, following everything as a line of an event going on stage. But the worst part about following this line is I have to change my ideas because everyone has spoken something about it. So I think from a perspective of good technologies, right, the best part about being in digital is, like I said, we only live for the buzz that that event can create for us, right? So record it, put it in a nice video, and then play it, and then the buzz that will create will be a lot more far reachable, experiential for people online than a handful of them offline. In terms of technologies, which was basically a couple of good ideas, there is this brand in US which is coming to India, which is helping improving checkouts, right? So if you go to Decathlon currently, you basically actually can just check out by yourself. But what they've done now is they're coming up with a newer one that there's a thread which can be read by your basket. So every material has a thread. As soon as you put it in your basket, it's being read and it's being debited to your card. So that's a greater technology putting to good use. But don't scare me. I'm going to put a frivolous use also because you said it has to be meaningful. But, on digital, anybody has gone to all these new concerts that have come in, right? Any of these Brand Adams and stuff like that, right? So now people are selling videos and images of these concerts on social, online. If you've not been to one and you want to still post on Instagram that you've been to a concert, you can actually buy images and videos from them. And then you can use deepfake AI technology to showcase you were in them. So I think that's also good fun usage of technology. Yeah, it's a fake side of things, but that's why I said, don't scare me. I'm going to put a digital use of what's happening today. But people are making business out of it. Somebody's earning money out of that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Dhruv, you and I were having this argument earlier where I was
Now
like,
you're breaking the line.
Yeah, no, now I have to, and I will start with you first of all. Yeah. No. Basically, we were talking about how AI can be sort of used and implemented. And I was saying, at least my job is safe. And you disagreed with me entirely when it comes to writing. So if you could just give me a little bit about how you think AI is going to be used, in the future.
So, I had also made a very Shradha bold, dark statement in last year at the MICE conference in Bombay. And I said, the fact of the matter is that whatever one can say, but it will replace humans. And it is taking up jobs. Why do you think that a lot of tech companies are not hiring at the pace that they were hiring? Why do you think, there's somebody who came on record and said that I'm an HR head and we were asked to let go of X 100 people. And usually when we are asked to let go of 100 people, we're also asked to hire at least 50% of that, and that's not happening anymore. Besides that, let's talk about our industry. The thing is that, let me put it in a politically correct manner, right? So the thing is that if you're running, let's say, an experiential agency, and if you have, let's say, 2 copywriters, and you're growing at a 30% year on year, okay, for the foreseeable future, you don't need to hire more copywriters, okay? Those 2 can take care of, let's say, if in an otherwise scenario, 30% growth after 5 years, you would have had 5 copywriters, 2 can do the job easily. You don't need to hire more, right? So in a way, it's replaced that human, and it definitely has. I mean, scripting is the easiest thing now that you can do with AI. It's the easiest thing. So I think yes, of course. I mean, it's like long back we made a presentation and it said that everything is tech, but you have to still press a button. So you need a human being still, right? But you don't need too many human beings. I mean, it's a fact of the matter, right? So now the thing is that in times to come, the skill set will be how well can you brief your AI bot. The skill set is not going to be how well you can write. As a writer, if you've made that switch about having a better conversation with your AI bot, whichever platform you're using, that will differentiate you from another writer in your organization. I've had a meeting wherein somebody said, "Can you just give me a draft of an MOU?" And I said, "I'm on a Zoom call." They said, "I need it now." I literally was on a Zoom call, I muted it, I put it on ChatGPT. Literally, I gave a 30-second instruction to it, create a draft between this company and this company, this is what we're going to do, please give me. They gave me a draft, send it to that person, they gave me a PDF, and it was done. They said, we can work with this. So that is what is happening in the world, and this is just the start, right? So I think the shift and the smarter people will shift. Instead of fearing it, they'll realize how to use it. And that's what I meant by, even the writers having to kind of change that perspective.
And I'm going to request 5 more minutes because now I have to ask Shradha because like you said, you were like, so I'm just curious, how do you convert like, how do you translate that ROI to events when you have people coming in, and like, how do you make sure that your product, your brand, whatever, is actually, perhaps converting the attendees into customers?
So there are two folds of KPI that you can put together for this, right? One is for me, when you're trying to do the mid funnel, which is where you're trying to drive engagement and consideration for the brand, we pick up a content piece and amplify it on digital, and then the sentiments, engagements, comments that you get on it is one of the way of saying how well it did, right? The second is PR, right? When you're trying to get a lot of PR articles about it, Exchange for Media writes about it, we are very happy. So that's the second piece. And the third piece is awards. Because, at the end of the day, let's be very honest, they also give you a good pat on the back, right? Yes, and the creative team loves it, to be honest. So that's the first kind of KPI that you can put to any of these things. The second one is when you're looking forward to on-ground engagement, right? So you had, let's say, 1,000 crowd, and then out of that, you're expecting 40% to interact with that. And out of that 40%, if then you can put that down the funnel, let's say out of that 40%, another 60, 70% put forward a lead, which you then can connect with them and convert them into some sales, then that's a great KPI to be measured.
Okay. And so one last thing, I'm just looking at the timer going down. The physicality of events, which I was talking about, how do you sort of still promote that in a world which is completely digital, is going entirely digital, and they're like, whatever, because of these technologies, we can experience it virtually and stuff. So how do you get people to actually come out, actually brave the rain and the traffic and come out for events? I'm curious about that.
Events, I think, yes, of course. But I think one important aspect of technology today is the creative use of technology, especially for visualization. We saw in the earlier presentation that, the Apsaras and all of that. So that needs talent as well. So it's not that easy. I've seen people, great agencies going wrong with 6 toenails and 2 eyelids and, that getting missed out. So those are the gaps which eventually will be overcome. But I have recently presided over a campaign which is completely done by AI, because the back and forth that was simply happening between the client and the agency, sometimes you don't have the luxury of time and therefore use of technology. It was easier for me to, as he said, give those commands and perhaps put the agency on the right track. So we see those campaigns going on. But of course, there is a time from as I mentioned earlier, buzz to business. That's a gap that we must all be very mindful of.
And Vanessa, like, you do very different sort of events, right? In the sense that one's very intimate and one's very sort of made and So I'm just curious, like, how do you guys sort of differentiate? How do you make it work in the?
And one of them gives you the next key.
Oh.
Sorry.
This for you, he's asking.
He's asking about intimate. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought it was for Ruchin, I was leaving it for him. So I strongly believe that to use good technology, you need to be smart as well. Like he said, you can have 6 toenails and you can have 2 eyelashes. If you don't know how to use it, you've lost the plot. So yes, it has reduced the man hours for sure. It has reduced a lot of back and forth. I know that a lot of things are possible, and a lot of things where we are using technology immensely, even at work. And I learned a new thing today, that through ChatGPT, you can also make presentations and videos, which we weren't doing all this while. So I'm going to start using that as well. But yes, sorry, I lost all your questions because I thought they were directed to Ruchin.
I'll just talk about how do you sort of make that differentiation between
I didn't measure the KPI for your.
Okay, so typically there is an intangible and there is a tangible ROI measurement for any event that happens along with technology, use of technology. So, of course, if your goal and vision is clear, you know what your financial returns are going to be like, what you're looking for. What are you trying to achieve by using the technology? Are you trying to achieve leads? Are you trying to achieve engagement? Or are you just trying to reach like a larger brand outreach? So it needs to be beneficial, not just for your audience, it needs to be beneficial for the brands that are coming in. And I think the greatest thing with social media and with usage of technology is pre-event buzz, event buzz and post-event buzz, which is like really the play of digital. So I think overall, if you ask me, I think technology has been a great, great boost for all of us in the event industry, whether we're talking about usage as in terms of projection mapping or using software to use for events, for conferences, for RFIDs or for facial recognitions, no usage of paper. We guys strongly believe in no usage of paper for flex. So, it has helped us make things better if only the cost of technology can come down a little bit, because then it becomes more compatible for us to suggest at every event. That becomes like one big limitation even from the client's end. They want to use it. But, sometimes, the like anamorphic software, for example, now that's broken into the market. It's a beautiful experiential way of presenting a logo, presenting a product, a new product launch. It sells amazingly. And it is a wow. There's no question about it. Even our own teams are creating it and we look at it and we say, wow, that's beautiful when the thing is coming at you. But then there's a cost to it, right? So I think if we can somehow bring out this balance, and of course the personal touch has to come. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, no matter how good the technology is, until you're smart enough to use it, you won't get the right impact. That's all I would like to say.
I think one thing which no one is talking about is creativity plus the right use of it doesn't have an MRP, so you can also charge your clients a bomb. Yeah.
So on the ROI piece, right? So see, since it's a panel and it sounds very nice for us to try and derive ROI, the fact of the matter is that काफी काम हम करते हैं जिसका कोई ROI measure करना बहुत मुश्किल है. Okay. I was on a flight one day. Somebody asked me, I was probably in my elements. They asked me, what do you do? I said, I sell tears. They said, what do you mean? I said, I sell tears. And mostly they are of joy. I hope they're seldom of sorrow. But that's what we do. That's an ROI, right? So what you're going to do here, it's going to have multiple ROIs. For example, I met Shradha for the first time. We might collaborate. We might do a big event. It may turn into I don't know what, but you may not be able to measure it. So what as event planners we do, what we need to tell our clients also that there is an intangible piece to it. And there are points that you cannot measure, but they exist, right? That's why people come in the rain and they enter here. Okay, COVID showed you that the world is not virtual. People crave, human connections. And that's what we do. So there's tangible, there's intangible. The campaign that I told you about, when people cried, that was an intangible outcome. It improved the FD business, that was tangible, they could measure it. But what happened in that room was intangible, and that's what made them repeat it. So I think we as event planners, that's what I will leave it to, should tell our clients to be able to look at the intangibles also, and we should proudly say that and not hide our faces saying, no, ye measure kaise karenge. There's a lot of intangible.
You know what my client would say? Tell me how many likes did we get on that crying video?
Listen, because of you, there is no BTL happening. Once digital, that's why, you have more people in your organization than in this room we have.
I think we dropped ourselves.
Everything is about the numbers.
This conversation. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.